just to respond on behalf of Ayanda regarding she does not have to stand up and defend herself. Ayanda is not subjected to pay the party anything, because the only time obviously we expect tithing from those who are already in the public service. So Ayanda is not going to be in any of those structures. So she's going to be working for the party. And when you work for the party does not expect any tithing from you. So fortunate enough, Ayanda, you don't have to deal with that nonsense. For the next few months, we will decide after the elections whether we're going to deploy her in strategic municipalities or whatever. We don't know. That is something that I think we've had honest, robust discussions with her. Right now, she's going to be working for the party, working with the Funzi and the Gauteng PEC. So I'm sure I've really saved you. So no tithing expected from her. Thank you very much.
I think I alluded to this a little bit earlier to say I wouldn't want to mar this glorious occasion by rehashing some of the circumstances that brought us to this place. But I do think that I want to say, just out of respect for the Fourth Estate, it's important that I respond to the question as briefly as possible. The party levy was a manifestation of a much deeper issue. Nobody leaves a political home over 10%. And nobody fires their sole representative at the legislature who did the best that they could and who, I'd like to say, without sounding arrogant, succeeded to a great degree. Nobody lets them go over 10%. I am of the view that it was a manifestation of a much deeper issue, that it was the fruit, but it was not necessarily the root cause. I think it also is important, as my president has just mentioned now, to underscore the fact that one is aware that every single party will have a party levy. It will depend the amount and the percentage, but that's something that's important to put on record. Every public representative has got a responsibility to the political party. You have to have skin in the game. You have to understand that you exist as part of a collective. You are part of an ecosystem. You don't exist as an island. Therefore, it is important for you to contribute. If the time comes, as the party will decide, for me to be deployed anywhere, I too will have to pay. Right now, President mentioned that I'm safe. I'm working for the party. But if the call is made for me to occupy any public office on behalf of ActionSA, I will have to adhere to the terms and conditions, and I would have to pay the party levy just like any other member does already and is expected to do. And I will be happy to do so because I have a responsibility to the party. But I also think it is important that we also are mindful that even the party has a responsibility towards the public rep. What is that responsibility? As I mentioned a little bit earlier, it is to support the work of fulfilling your constitutional mandate. We have seen it exercised beautifully here in ActionSA in the way in which the likes of Dr. Nasipi are well supported, the way in which your Darylene James are well supported. That support means when we are crying and we're saying there's a community in such and such a place and they need our assistance because perhaps they've been shack fires or perhaps there is water damage or the like, then the party is able to come together and say, let us assist that community. That is the only responsibility that the party has. I view this as a symbiotic relationship, a responsibility from the public rep to pay her dues, but a responsibility from the party to support the public rep in fulfilling their constitutional mandate. And when those two work hand in hand, it is a beautiful thing. And we have seen it here in ActionSA. But where the party, for example, is playing their part and the public rep doesn't want to, it becomes unequal. And vice versa, where the public rep is playing their part and the party is songe izandla, it also becomes a problem. So for it to be mutually beneficial and for it to result in service delivery, both need to be playing their part. And I think maybe in another time, in another season, in another occasion, we can discuss the merits of whether both in the previous case, as you have mentioned, were playing their part.